All right, cool. Let me just make sure there are you, and here is other. There you are. There you are. All right. Cool. You can see I'm sort of pushing the coaching angle. I don't know if anyone noticed that. Oh my gosh, I should have done my hair. All right. So what we're going to do is I've shared a link to a folder, and if you click on the link, I hope the folder opens. It should. If it's not, I don't know what to say. And I put together a guide, if you will, about what is farming, why do we farm, and how do we farm and all that. Let me make sure I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right. And for those of you who haven't met both of us before, I'm Mike Devlin with eXp Realty, and the real expert today is Lynn Dang with Chicago Title. And the reason why are we here? You know, what's of interest to a topic like this? And the answer is very short. It's listings. Let's say you would like to have listings. How many of you would like to have listings, right? Everybody's probably going to raise their hand, right? We all want listings. So how do you get listings? Well, you could call for sale by owners and expireds. Yeah, you could, right? Other people have thought of that too, right? Yeah, but you could do that. You could just cold call people in the neighborhoods. Yeah, you could do that. You could go knock on doors. You could, gee, I'm running out of
Your
ideas.
sphere of
What?
influence.
What, Lynn?
You can work with your sphere of influence.
You could work with your sphere of influence. Thank you for helping me. But we're running out of ideas, right? Your sphere of influence, for sale by owners expired, circle prospecting, door knocking. How about farming? Now, your area may be different, and I have to admit, it's been a while since I've done this, but Lynn, by the way, also would probably have an opinion regarding the data, but this is my premise from the last time I ran the MLS. I exported the data, including the name of the listing agent. I went back 6 months, and I picked the city of San Jose, single family homes. And then because I have no social life, I created a pivot table with the spreadsheet, which I had it count how many listings each agent had. And it would then rank them from the top, number one, number two, number three, number four, in terms of listings. Who has the most listings last 6 months or a year? And then once I found those people, the top five, let's say, I would take their name and I would go to the MLS and I would say, I want to see all the listings by this person last year. And the MLS shows me, and then there's a button, and that button says map. And I click on the button and I look at the map of their listings. And what I noticed is that almost all the agents at the top, in terms of number of listings, their listings were generally clumped in geographic areas, right? It was extremely rare that someone would have one here and one here and one here and one here and one here. That was very, very rare. Right, and those people weren't very high up on the list. The ones that were really high on the list, all of their listings seemed to clump. Is that your experience also, Lynn?
Yes, that's why we should do geographic farming.
That's why I thought
the expert in that area.
Right. So the you need to be an expert about something. Right, you need to be an expert about something. That could be a geographic area. It could be a property type, the queen of the condos, right? The duke of duplexes, right? Whatever you want to, that one isn't so bad. I mean, you might want to be the investment property. You understand, you need to be the expert about something. And one of the easiest things to become an expert about is a geographic area. All right, now that would mean a general area would be as large as a zip code, but the zip codes are way too big for you to adequately farm them. right? You could be a demographic farmer. In other words, rather than the geographic is farming means, maybe I should say this, you take a plot of land, you plant seeds, you cultivate, and you later harvest. Isn't that the idea? So that plot of land could be like a plot of land. It could be a neighborhood. It could be a people farm, in that rather than it being a geographic area, it's a demographic group or a psychographic group, which would be hobbies and things like that. I've had agents that most of their business came from dogs, because they had dogs and they liked dogs and they would walk the dogs and they joined dog groups, and everyone they met were dog people. So I have to say this, and then we'll get most people think that all real estate agents are pretty much the same anyhow, right? That most people think that. And if you're a dog person and they're a dog person and they want to sell their home and you've met them, the dog person thing may be enough to get the listing, right? I'm just saying, right? We're going to talk about geographic farming. Anything that I said wrong in that part, Lynn?
No.
All right.
In addition, of course, you can do empty nesters, you can do absentee owners, you can do out-of-state owners.
Right. And one of the things that some of my business partners are doing is using software. There's a software program called Property Radar. And what Property Radar does that PropStream does not do, and I'm sure I'll hear from Lynn in a moment if her software will do it, is to connect demographic information with geographic and or other kind of data. What that would mean is we could find people that owned rentals that are not from the area because the mailing address is far away. They own rentals not from the area who are over a given age, that are 60 years or older. Now, why would we be doing that? Well, maybe our message might be, hey, the last time the market corrected, it fell more than 20% and took 12 years to recover. Do you want to take that chance? Now, do you understand if the person is over 60, I would assume they might be thinking, I might not have 12 years for it to recover, right? You understand, depending upon their age group. And the one thing that Property Radar does that I don't know of anyone else off the top of my head that will do that is you could say in an area, you could put all that criteria in and it would pull up a list, right? Just throwing that out there as a bonus idea. All right, why farm? Let's say you sell a $1 million property and it's a 2.5% commission to the listing side. It may not be that high, right? It may not be that high. I'm just saying. Right, when you're getting started, you might need to buy the listing, right? And by buy the listing, I mean maybe not charge 5%, right? So your numbers may vary, right? One of the questions you have to ask yourself is, how low will you go? Would you do it for 2? Would you? It's a $4 million property. I would. Would you do it for 1.5 or 1? Right, you need, but and by the way, the price range and the likelihood of the percentage of commission is. So I actually have a spreadsheet for this for those that are very analytical. You could modify the spreadsheet and get you get different numbers. But if you have 500 houses and people move every 10 years, a 10% turnover rate, that would be 50 possible listings out of the 500. If you were to achieve 10% market share, that would be 5. If you got $25,000 every time you sold one, that would be 125 in gross commission income. By the way, it's easier to go from 10% to 20% than it was to go from 5% to 10. Because once you've got business, it's a lot easier to get more business, right? It's a lot easier to get the second and the third and the fourth listing than it was to get the first one. So also, is it possible, depending upon where we target our farm, that some of the people might be buying something as well? So one of the advantages of farming starter homes rather than luxury homes is that the starter home people not only sell, but they also often buy. which is 2 transactions. Whereas the higher level ones move away and there's no other transaction except the possibility of but let's assume that we were targeting a group where 1/3 of our sellers were also buying. Well, that adds more money to it. So 10% market share, if at the third would be an extra, how about this? If we combine the number of listings we could get plus the number of buyers we might get, and we added it together, we're making an okay amount of money, right? For farming. I'm just saying, at 10%. So critical mass is once you start getting listings, it is a lot easier to get more of them in the area because you're doing open houses every week and they're your listings, you're meeting the neighbors, they see your signs, you're sending out just listed cards, sending out just sold cards. The neighbors talk about you, they ask questions. It's just a lot easier. You become perceived as the neighborhood expert, right? Other comments, Lynn?
Everything you said is absolutely correct.
That's why I invite Lynn to. So in terms of choosing the neighborhood, I mean, first of all, you ought to have branding, which could be your company branding. One of the things I like about EXP, but we're not the only ones that do this, is that essentially if you follow the Department of Real Estate rules, they're cool with what you do. In other words, I can have my own logo in a different color scheme if I want to. I can't change EXP's logo's color scheme, but I could have it black or white, but I can do anything I want to. You want to have a consistent brand so that when people see your stuff online or in print or wherever, they make that connection, right, to you. You need to get a list. Notice you should talk to a title rep, right? And we've made that easier for you, because the title companies have access to software, and Lynn in particular, who's been doing this for a couple of years now, is very good at helping agents with setting up their farms and picking farms. A couple of years, is that right?
No, at times 10.
All right, yes, we've been around. And so you ought to reach out, and we're going to go through one of the programs that's available. EDDM is Every Door Direct Mail, which is a way of sending things inexpensively to carrier routes. There are predictive analytics, some of which are in the Realist, if you have access to Realist, which is a sell score. Golden Farms, I think, is something we might see. Likely to Sell is a title company thing. There's companies like Offers and SmartZip and other that have this. But predictive analytics is where we say we're not going to farm everybody. We're just going to farm those who we think are more likely to actually want to sell their home. Research. Why don't we go into? Did you want to go into that part now that we've come to doing research?
Yes, sure.
All right. And did you want to share your screen then?
Yes.
Cool. Can I unshare mine so I can?
Can you see my active farm?
Yes, very good.
Can I start talking?
You should, please, but otherwise I might.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's great to see everyone here. And, I've been doing this a long time, and every day I do farm for my clients. Literally, probably today I already have 5 farm requests. And most of the agents ask me is, can you just tell me what top producers are doing that are successful? And let me copy that. So I would say, don't do that, because the top producer may be in the business a long time, already have the brands out there, and it's being recognized by many communities. They have a lot of track records to show. They're doing a lot of marketing. 1/3 of their income goes to marketing. So my suggestion first for all of you is just be yourself, right? And the number one thing that I get asked all the time is that, how soon do I see results when I start farming? My suggestions is there's 5 ingredients that you must have when you start farming. First is to commit to it, right? Don't do it for 1 month or 2 months and thinking you're going to get results right away. It doesn't work that way. So it will take a minimum of 1 year of your commitment. Second is to come up with a budget. What is your budget? And everyone's budget is different. I can work with any budget. So you need to sit down one-on-one with me. We have a conversation, and we're going to go over strategies. What kind of marketing that you are comfortable with, right? There's many layers of marketing. There's cold calling, direct mailing, door knocking, cold calling. What are you comfortable doing? If you can do all that, great, right? It gives you more opportunities to reach out to people and build that relationship and nurture that relationship. Be consistent is another ingredient, it's a must. And also content. Some of the agents take an easy way out that they would just use direct marketing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I would add more personal touch to it, right? Provide contents that educate consumers, because you want them to look forward to your mailers every month. You want them to see the difference of your content compared to somebody else's. So all that is very, very important. So put some time into that, and then that way you can, provide value. Okay. So Active Farm, why Active Farm? This is just one of the platforms that I have when I pull data for my clients. Now, keep in mind, you can learn this, and I'm happy to teach you, but 90% of my clients ask me because they're better going out there, talking to clients and looking for listings and buyers and so on. So if they know what they're looking for, they just send me a list of criteria they're looking at. And I'm one of those reps that will not just take your order and just like, oh, that looks fine. You asked for 500 around this address, and I just pull it up. It takes me, very little time, and I just send it to you and be done. That's not who I am. I actually have a conversation with you and find out a lot about yourself and be able to help you to create the right farm for you. Okay, so I provide some ideas. Because of my background, I've done 18 years in appraisal. I know the Bay Area very well. I know who's popular in which zip code and so on. So I can give you some insights that other people may not have. Okay, so why Active Farm? This is one of the platforms that is actually why they call it active. Is basically live. The data is updated every 2 weeks. So unlike in the past, when you get a farm, you use that farm for a long time, but you don't get data, updated information. Updated information, I mean by if someone was to file for divorce, or there's a change of title, or there's a sale just happened, or someone just got married, all of that information, this platform will be able to find for you and will update it for you. So if you wanted to purchase some of those premium leads, you can. And the system will notify you when all of that events happen within your farm. That's why this is really powerful. You have a snapshot of the whole neighborhood. So if I was to pull up a farm, you will be able to have different categories within a farm, which I'm going to go into it really. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And then we're going to talk about Go Farm. Go Farm are likely to sell within the next 2 years based on the algorithm that is built in the system. Okay, so if you don't have a big budget, you can actually go in and say, I just want to target the gold farm. Usually it's much smaller, right? You will get notified when there's live events happening within your farm. You can download the farm and you can print, you can do mail merge within here, and then you can focus on absentee owners and real out-of-state owners and so on. All right, so with that being said, let's go into, let's create, well, I can pull out. Let's see, let's create one. So I'm gonna go with, instead of subdivision, let's go into polygon farm, okay? So first you need an address or a street name for that. So I'm just gonna say Tully Road. And that's in San Jose. So you see this red dot right here? That's where Tully Road, it runs all the way up here. Let me, all right. So from here, I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit so I can see the map a little bit more. So say if I want to farm around Tully Road, right? So I'm gonna go and draw this map. Notice you cannot access this program without me register you. And it's free, it doesn't cost you anything. Maximum you can pull per farm is 3,000 records at a time, okay? So notice, within this shaded area, there are 939 homes, and it gives me the turnover rate at 1.92, which is very low, by the way. So that gives you an idea, should I go in here and farm in this area? Or should I try a different area? To pick a farm, you and I will have that conversation. You have to be specific where you wanted to farm. Pick a farm that you'll have some knowledge of. Just don't go for, I have agents who say, give me, luxury homes. I want to farm there because the commission is really high. Well, once you have someone that call you, would you have the knowledge to compete with other realtors in the area, right? So that's not the right way of picking a farm. So,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can you search subdivisions based on turnover rate?
I can.
Right. So, I mean, in other words, do you have people that say, I want 10%, 6%? What would you say is an adequate turnover rate?
From my experience, of course, if you talk to a lot of coaches, they would say, real estate coaches, they would say, well, go with something like 8% or more, yeah. Right? But I've seen 5% is good. It depends. And remember, the turnover rate changes too, constantly. So, like, for instance, say if a condominium, you probably see higher turnover rate than, or some projects, say is fairly new. So some of them is kind of obscure because you really you have to understand the area. Like, for instance, say if the condominium project is under 10 years old, say under 5. And in the last, so it's been building for the last 5 years, and all of a sudden, they sold out the last phase of the project. And so there was a lot of sales happening in that year. So the turnover rate is kind of obscure a little bit, right? Because it's not actual activities for that community or for the whole area. So that's why when I do the farm, I really look into it and checked everything out to make sure that it's the right turnover rate.
Right. Let me just share what I recommend, what I also would recommend. If you have a geographic area, go to the MLS And one of the things that you can see this program will tell you right away is how many units are within an area you just drew. So if you go to the MLS and you do a search using the same box and ask the computer to tell you how many properties sold through the MLS in the last 12 months, right? Because a lot of times that's a different number than what is a title transfer. And the more realistic percentage for you, I believe, are how many properties go through the MLS in that geographic area every year. All right. And if there's 30 of them, say, and you say to yourself, well, I might get 1 out of 10 if I work hard at this, so that's 3. It's 3. All right. How much would you make? And is that enough? Anyhow.
So good points. All right, so from here, say if this is the farm that we like, and let's continue, and I want to show you the snapshot. So from here, say if you only want to focus on single family residents, so that's all I want. So let's see how many of those in this shaded area. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that. I'm just going to name it. If you were the one that pulling it, then you should name it the area that you're farming. Say for, the community. So in this area, I can say Eastridge. So then you can identify if you have several farms, but I'm just going to name it fast.
Or, yes.
So what it's doing is going to pull all of these data that we have, 799 records. And I wanted to add like what Mike had mentioned, go on MLS, do all that. Also check to see who are the dominant, if there is any agents in that area as well. So you know who you are competing with. If you have an agent who has 50% market share in that area, something to think about. Oh, what happened here?
I don't know. You're the expert.
Okay, well, it's here. Lock me out and then lock me back in. All right, so this is the farm. Notice that it has grading, right? A, B, C, D. And there's nothing wrong with being a B or C or D. It's a rating. It shows the consistency of activities in the area. That's what it means. So you will see that the A will have higher turnover rate versus B and so on and so forth. Okay. So let's open this up. So this is the farm. Notice that information from owner's name all the way to the right is free for you. Okay, you get to see the owner's name, purchase price, bedroom, bathroom counts, and so on and so forth, purchase date and price. On the left-hand side, you see phone number and emails. These are available phone numbers and emails that you can purchase. And you can purchase a la carte. And that's what's good about the system. Now from here, you have 799, say if you don't want to farm 799 people, you wanted to see a snapshot. So if I click on complete farm underneath, I can pull anything, it will sort it for me. So say if I only want to target Go Farm. Go Farm is the farm that are likely to sell. And out of 799, there are 45 records that based on the system. And according to the information that was given to us, this active farm The Go farm, they have about, it's been identified about 70% accuracy. Don't shoot the messenger. This is based on what they told us. Nothing is guaranteed, as you know, but at least these are free information. At least you know that you're targeting these are likely to sell people. So from here, you just basically export, right? Another cool thing about this program that you can export the list as an Excel, or if you have COM that you are currently using, so if you click on COM export, if one of your COM system is on this list, you can import that into your COM and you can start tracking. So that's really cool about this. So you have, I think command is on here, right?
And for my EXP people, KV Core.
Oh, KV Core, okay.
Don't say the other one. KV Core is
There
the.
you go. So you can take the list and upload there and then start tracking your farm. So from here, you don't have to do any sorting. So say within the 799 people, you got the Go farm, and you can do absentee owners. So these are 211 that are absentee owners, right? So you can have different, you can dissect this into different categories, and then you can have the right contents that go out to these targets. Okay? Any questions so far? No? Okay. Another cool thing about this is you can print labels. Now, some of you may wanted to do mail merge, right? Instead of postcards. So this feature is, it's going to cost you, but it's only $12 a month, a year. And what it does that for $12, you have access, it's right here. The mail merge features enhancement is only $12 a year. It will give you access to many mail merge templates that target for sale by owner, out of state owners, absentee owners, empty nesters, all of that. And you can, of course, make it your own. And if you wanted to do mail merge, what it does, if you already have the farm, what it does is that it's going to personalize it for you on the letter that you pick, and it will personalize it for you. All you have to do is print it and put it in your envelope and print your labels, and you're ready to go. Okay? It will make the process so easy for you. It's very quick. So that is another feature that this one has. Let's go back. What else? You can buy a la carte email and phone numbers, and also there are premium leads. So premium leads, let me go into it. Not that. This is managed letters we're talking about. You can manage your e-campaign. So if you wanted to send out different email blasts, you can do that through here. There's a fee involved. There's $19 a month that involve all that. And you can also purchase NOD leads. Let's see. They changed the format recently. Trying to see where the premium leads are. Oh, by the way, since I'm right here, you can also pull property profile from here. So you don't have to toggle back and forth to a different system to pull property profile. So that makes it easier. I'm trying to find where are the premium leads.
So premiums are NODs.
Divorces.
Probates. Do they actually have probates for Santa Clara County?
I think so.
They hadn't for a while.
On the Title Toolbox platform, you can actually pull it very quickly
All right.
from there. Actually, trying to find where all the
While you're doing that, an agent asked, how do you check the agents in the area on the MLS? Thank you for that question, Karen. There's two, depending on the software you're using, there's different ways of doing it. But in the matrix world of MLS software, you hover up where the columns are and you left click, not right click, and you can insert another column. And the column you would insert is the listing agent full name. And then it would show up, and then you can actually sort by that. And it'll show you all the listings by the names of the agents. And you can see how many each one has, and that's an easy way to find out who's doing what in your area.
So if you pull a farm, and within the farm, it will tell you how many NODs and NTS and sites and phone number. So if you have a farm, if the farm that I just pulled, for instance, it will tell you right here, and you can purchase it. And the way the system works is that you have to put money in the wallet inside the system once you have the account. And then if you saw, it will notify you if there's every day, if the system able to find any leads, any like marriages or divorces or births or deaths, things like that, it will notify you, and you can go from there if you want to purchase the lease or not. Okay. There is, let's see. They used to have a, trying to see, they used to have a list of pricing for those leads if you want to purchase. And I don't see it here.
Well, if they're interested in making a commitment, they could reach out. So that brings us into Audrey's question. What flyers do you recommend sending out to a notice of default? Do you have any samples? That's a little trickier, Audrey.
Actually, that's the one I was telling you about, the $12 a year for mail merge. It will give you access to over, I believe, 37 templates, and reaching out to NODs clients or potential clients is in there. Okay, once I give you access to the system, you can upgrade that, and it's only $12 a year, but you will have access to that.
Maybe a session at some time about what's involved in listing, getting, finding NODs and NTS properties. And no NTS is a notice of the trustee sale.
Keep in mind, unless you have experience working with people in the past, this is something is time consuming, as you know, and just understand the market. I just wanted to share this with you because one of my agents, and she's fairly new, she's only been in the business for a year, and she decided to go that route. And I have a conversation with her and told her that there are many steps involved, there's time consuming, and I would suggest that if I were you, and you know, since you are fairly new, focus on some things, you know, starting out with your sphere of influence, and then, you know, small farm, and go that route first. You probably get a quicker result than doing NODs. Don't you agree, Mike?
Yeah. Lynn and I have been around long enough to know what this used to be the market, right? Back in 2008 and 2009, and even in 2010, most of the listings were notices of default, the short sales, REOs, I mean, that whole group. The problem, the challenge, let's say, with reaching out to NODs is your message. The typical real estate agent message to an NOD is, hey, sorry to see you're having all these problems. I can sell your house for you. and, get a nice commission, and you're not going to get anything, but it'll be off your mind. Now, they don't actually say that, but that's essentially what the message is. I can list your house, but the challenge is that what the NOD wants is to keep the house, not sell the house. And so what we learned was more effective if we offered them assistance in getting loan modifications and things like that, opportunities to talk to a CPA or a bankruptcy lawyer, and that we would help them save their house. You got a lot more responses, right? But the reality is most of those things don't work. Right. And so then eventually they say, well, I got to sell it. And we've been talking to them. It's a complicated area. Right. And these are not generally happy people, or making good decisions.
Market. So if these people, if they purchased it 10 years ago, they probably have plenty of equity. So why would they do a short sale or put it on the market, right? If they have a loan with the lender is not in the business of taking the home back and to sell. Their goal is to keep you so that way you can make payments. Their goal is to make interest, right? Make money on the interest that they're charging you. So they will usually work out a payment plan for you. So chances of you getting the listing is lower, right? So that's, you put in a lot of work. So with that being said, she actually called me back and she said, oh, I purchased some leads and I made some phone calls and I realized that a lot of them have already been released, right? The NODs has already been released. So she wasted a lot of time. And we had that conversation already, but I can't, that was my recommendation for her. So now she realized that was a right route to go, because I guess somebody else suggested that maybe a good way to get some business, but not necessarily. So she faced some challenges there. So, just understand your market. And people that purchased a few years ago, in the last 4 years or 5 years, a lot of them has to be full doc, right? So they all qualify, and a lot of them put 20% down. So there's plenty of equity in there, right? All right. I apologize.
One quick thing. So I found that for sale by owners, expired listings, NODs, and those other types of sales work better for me if they were in my geographic farm.
Agreed.
Right, as opposed to just I'm working all of them in the Bay Area. But if they worked the area where I was already marketing myself, where I already was doing business, it was a much easier road. I was just modifying the message to fit their circumstances. Anyhow, back to you.
I just wanted to say, I apologize. I can't find the rate where they had it before. They have a list of all the fees for premium charges, but hopefully by the time you guys reach out to me, I'll find it and we can go over what are the costs involved when you purchase leads. But since we have 15 more minutes, is that okay if I just go into my title toolbox and show you where you can buy leads as well?
Yes.
Okay. So Active Farm is one of the platforms that I use to find turnover rate mostly, but Title Toolbox is a system that I use probably more often than I use the other one. So for instance, the same thing, it has very similar data, but what I do like about this one as well is it also have property profile search, so you can search by individual property address. Also another good thing about this is that once you pull a property profile, so I'm just going to pull one up to show you that with this property, if I wanted to see a detailed view about this property, I can do that. You see information right here. If the property is at risk, like foreclosure, it will list it here for you, which other systems don't have. It also have, sometimes it will show loan type and loan balance where other system may not have. So that's another good thing about this one. When it comes to buying a la carte phone number and email, you can actually type in where it says search for an address. You just type in an address and click on the phone and email lookup. If the system is able to find it for you, it's only 12 cents if you want to purchase it. So that makes it, say if you saw for sale by owner, right, on MLS, and not on MLS, you drove by or you walk the neighborhood and you saw that and you wanted to reach out to the owner, you can look up the system by, look up for phone number and email by using the system. In terms of farm, I'm going to pull up one farm just to show you where you can find leads within your farm. So say, let's go with one of these. All right, so I'm gonna pull this out. So right here where you say new possible leads, if you already have a farm saved, okay? And I just click on new possible leads. It shows me there are 3 liens being filed within the farm, and there's a notice of trustee sale. So if you want to purchase, you can certainly purchase from here. That makes it easier. And you can go the last 12 months or 6 months and 3 months and so on and so forth. It's very helpful if you already farm in an area and you know the area very well, and that happens to be one of those, just like Michael mentioned. This is the quickest way to find leads within your farm. Okay, it will vary. You will see divorce, probate, all that, if there's any within your farm. So it makes it easier. If I wanted to find turnover rate in an area, I can do that as well. So if I go into, let's try that. So say if the CD of Milpitas, start all over because I forgot to clear the search. So let's go into area search. And let's say I want Milpitas. And then
Other.
all right, I got this.
All right.
So,
All right.
this.
If this is going to take a minute, let me say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Let's say you've decided to work a geographic farm. Number one, as Lynn already said, it requires a commitment. You should assume that you may be doing this for 18 months before you get anything. All right. Number two, that means that there's an investment in money and time. It would mean if you're really committed to doing this and you're going to be the expert, that every time there's a listing in your geographic area, you're going to go look at it. Right? You're going to take pictures of it. You're going to take notes of it. So you're going to be able to talk about it later when you get a listing appointment. It would mean that you would have a listing presentation put together and be prepared to deliver it, because someday someone's going to call and say, can you come over now? And you're going to need to be able to, and Soledad wants to know how you get access for the site. You send me $5 or you just contact Lynn, right? And her contact information is in the handouts that we have put in. The other thing that I would say, that's not the right one, but the other thing that I would say is in terms of community events for the area you would want to participate in, you would like to talk to some of the local businesses. There's a whole lot more involved, and I think this is the right one. There's a whole lot more involved than simply sending a postcard. If that's all you do is occasionally send a postcard and then nothing happens, don't be surprised. It would mean social media groups. It would mean, everything, that you'd have a website maybe about the neighborhood, you'd have a community page on Facebook, you would have Instagram pictures and videos. I mean, the whole thing. That's all in that outline I gave, but that's in addition to finding the farm. How are we doing now?
Good. Yeah, absolutely. I give you one success stories from one of my agents is that she started out, she lives in a PUD complex, a townhouse complex, and she started out just farming her community. And door knocking, she does that once a week, right? Consistently for 2 years. 2 years. And now she probably had 40% of the market in that community. And that's a lot of door knocking, checking in with the clients, have conversations with them, have community events, right? Ice cream events, just reaching out, and that's part of it. Providing market update. At the end of the day, is what you want is to build that relationship, nurture it, where they feel comfortable, and then you can actually sit down and have a conversation with them and see where they're going, what their goals are. Are they planning to move? Are they staying? Are they, or get some referral from friends and family that they know of because they like you, right? That's part of farming. It's just like real farming. You plant your seeds, you nurture it, you water, you take good care, you fertilize, you do all that in order to see the result of your labor, right? So, but also one thing is two things actually, commitment and do not give up. Because some of the agents do it for, say 6 months and they're say it doesn't work. It doesn't work, so I'm not doing it. So how did you get your name out there? How do people know you and trust you? You have to build that. Have coffee with people, right? And start out with your sphere of influence. Absolutely. And Michael and I are here. When I sit down with you, we have a lot of questions to go over, and that's what I'm here for, is to come up with the right form, provide the right information, the right data, then you can start working. And hold me accountable. I hold you accountable. So if you want to do that, again, one of my agents, when she's starting out, we have monthly accountability meeting. It doesn't have to be, we can do face-to-face, we can do Zoom, but we talk about what you did. And then I can say, well, did you do this or you missed that? What's your content looks like? I can help you with that.
Khalid asks, in the screen you are showing, does group mean neighborhoods?
I'm sorry, so this one is basically, what I did was I put Milpitas, and then I tell me any communities in Milpitas with 8 or more % of turnover rate. So when you look at this, you see earlier I mentioned some of them may be skewed. So you have like some of them, the number of homes is very little. So I would, if it was me, I would pick the number 6 or 7 farm, because there's 32 units, 47 units, and 3 sold, right, in the last 12 months, and then 4 sold in the last 12 months. So then you have turnover rate between 8 and 9% here. So yeah.
Those seem small numbers for Milpitas.
That's pretty much what I have.
Yeah, that may be what's going on right now. Anyhow, interesting, because there may have been other criteria. I'm just saying. Oh, you picked likely, this is gold farm or likely to sell?
This is based on turnover rate. So
Turnover.
now I see details and I click on select.
All right. That's, I'm just wondering, because there's a lot of houses in Milpitas.
Yes, this is that community. Just
All right, that one community. Okay, cool. And so how about this? I think that it's possible that you may have more questions about how all this software works. And what would probably be the best solution to that is that if you're committed to farming, it's first of all, if you're not committed to farming and you're not going to farm, can I say don't waste our time? But anyhow, I guess Lynn's nicer than I am. But if you're committed to farming, right, then you can reach out and Lynn will show you how to use the software. But what I want you all to remember is that when somebody calls and says, I'm interested in selling my home, and you're listing the home, and there will become a point where you're going to need to open escrow and get a preliminary title report, who are you going to call? Anybody have an idea? Well, you're going to contact Lynn because she's the one that helped you with the farming in the first place. Does everybody understand that? Right, that's it, that's it. I want you to say it. I want everybody to raise their hand and say, I will contact Lynn once I get somebody who wants to sell. All right, great.
all jokes aside, I wanted to thank you for being here, but at the same time, I think that find the right person, whoever that may be. Would love to be me, but I would love to just have a conversation with you. And, you know, I have a lot to share. You know, we can talk about your goals and what you try to achieve. And you don't have to have a big budget. Don't let that scare you, okay? People can do, you can do door knocking, you can do cold calling, you can, you know, we can be creative and we can work on a small budget. So don't let that scare you, but willing to work hard. I think that is so important. People just think that, oh, it comes easy. It's not. It takes work, hard work and money and time. So if you're willing to do all that, I can guarantee you, because I've seen it, I've seen people succeed based on those criteria. It will work. All farming works. You just have to put in the work. And
they want your contact information, which is in the handout. I don't know if you have it handy.
it is in the handout.
It is in the handout. It's in a couple places, but just to make it easy, how about that? All right.
408-595-8263.
I pasted it in. It's there. All right, everyone. Have you had enough? Have you? I think so.
Don't be shy. I'm just a phone call away. So.
And me too, by the way, if you're looking to join a team, I'm a little more direct. Give me a call. Anyhow, have a great day, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.